These actors were forced into roles they never wanted. Number 1. Jessica Alba. When the actress signed a 3-movie contract to star as Susan Storm in 2005's Fantastic Four, she was banking on the first film being a smash hit. But when the movie flopped and she found herself forced to star in the sequel 2 years later, it was the last thing the Sin City actress wanted to do. Luckily for Alba, Rise of the Silver Surfer was a total failure, and plans for a third film were immediately scrapped. Number 2. Natalie Portman. The Oscar-winning actress wasn't too keen on reprising her role as Jane Foster in Thor: The Dark World. But when she talked the studio into hiring Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins, she changed her tune. Unfortunately, when Jenkins clashed with Marvel over creative differences and was pushed out of the project, Portman was left still contractually obligated to appear. While she never spoke ill of the experience, when the third installment of the franchise was released and she wasn't in it, it was clear the actress was done with the world of superheroes for a while. Number 3. Jaam Lee Curtis. The legendary Scream Queen wanted her appearance as Laurie Strode in a 1998 reboot to be her last. But when she saw how bad the sequel, Halloween Resurrection, was going to be, she changed her mind. Unwilling to leave her character on such a sour note, Curtis agreed to appear for a brief cameo in the 2002 film for a proper send-off of her famous character. But it still didn't help the movie any. Of course, even that didn't stick, and she ended up reprising the role for a new trilogy of films 20 years later. Number 4. Robert Pattinson. The Batman star gained international fame playing Edward Cullen in the Twilight franchise. But that doesn't mean he was a fan of the famously sparkling vampire hottie. In fact, the acclaimed actor once said that if the literary character was real, he'd be one of those guys that would be an axe murderer. Not exactly a ringing endorsement. Pattinson suffered through several sequels to the smash hit and went on to use his cred for projects like The Lighthouse, Good Time, and of course, The Batman. Number 5. Channing Tatum. While the action star was a fan of all-American hero G.I. Joe growing up, he admitted to Howard Stern to only doing the film version to fulfill a contract for Paramount Pictures. The Magic Mike star even passed on the role a whopping 7 times before he thought the script was good enough to commit to, but even that wasn't enough to save it from being downright awful. Number 6. Bill Murray. When Bill Murray heard the script for the live-action version of Garfield had been written by Joel Cohen, he got so excited that he signed on without even reading it. But when production started, he found out it wasn't the Joel Cohen of Fargo and The Big Lebowski fame, but the Joel Cohen who wrote Monster Mash the movie and Cheaper by the Dozen. By then it was too late to back out of the project, and Murray was contractually obliged to appear in both Garfield and its even worse sequel, A Tale of Two Kitties. Number 7. Edward Norton. When up-and-coming actor Edward Norton hit it big with 1996's Primal Fear, Paramount took advantage and signed him to a 3-picture deal. But when Norton never fulfilled the contract, Paramount said that if he wanted to star in Fight Club, he'd have to start working on another film for the studio immediately after filming ended. Norton didn't appreciate being compelled to do a project, and both sides threatened to sue, and eventually he agreed to co-star in 2003's remake of The Italian Job. Number 8. Keanu Reeves. After director Joe Sharbanek filmed Keanu Reeves' band Dogstar while on tour, the two became friends. But when it came time to make his own film, The Watcher, Sharbanek got a little too comfortable with the A-list star. After Reeves found himself back on top with the success of The Matrix, Sharbanek allegedly forged the actor's signature on a contract so he'd be forced to appear in the poorly reviewed thriller. Reeves ended up filming the role rather than go through a complicated lawsuit, but didn't end up doing any promotion. And when he was finally allowed to talk about it, didn't hold back, saying that he never found the script interesting anyway. Number 9. Daniel Craig. The most recent actor to play super spy James Bond has never hid his disdain for the character or the financial reasons behind his multiple return trips to the role. Craig was obliged to appear in more than one 007 feature, but even when the contract was fulfilled and he was sick of the character, MGM's offer was just too good to pass up. The Knives Out actor finally got his wish when No Time to Die was released in 2021, which marked his last appearance as the character, and put a definitive nail in the coffin of Craig's version. Number 10. Brad Pitt. When the Moneyball star pulled out of a different Warner Brothers film at the last minute, the studio made him take up the sword in Wolfgang Petersen's Troy to make up for it. While it wasn't torture for the actor, he did say that he'd become spoiled working with director David Fincher on recent projects such as Seven and Fight Club. Number 11. Jennifer Garner. When the Texas-born star signed on as Elektra in 2003's Daredevil, it was enough of a hit to get the actress her own spin-off as the character. But it wasn't exactly something she was excited about. Even though Garner was grateful for the experience, it ended up being a miserable one for the Alias actress, and audiences seemed to agree as it arrived in cinemas with a big thud. Number 12. Emily Blunt. After Emily Blunt made it big with The Devil Wears Prada, Marvel was knocking on her door to play Black Widow in Iron Man 2. It would have been a huge break, but unluckily for the British actress, Fox Studios had her under contract for another movie and wanted her for Gulliver's Travels instead. Number 13. Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence had no problem playing Mystique in 2011's X-Men First Class, but by the time they got to the third film in the series, she'd had enough. It wasn't the character or strenuous action scenes that were driving her crazy, but the 8 hours in makeup she had to spend every day for the iconic blue look. Although she doesn't regret it, when she eventually wrapped up her time in the series, it was a relief for the actress.